In a rejection of Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Joe Biden is planning to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline through executive action on day one. Now, before I get to more details on this, let me give you a quick overview of the Keystone XL pipeline. I discussed much of this story 2 months ago when it was first rumored that Joe Biden was going to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline. Meanwhile, Trudeau was already trying to lobby Joe Biden to keep it, siding with Donald Trump in this case. So before I get to any of that, this is the Keystone XL. So the green line here goes from Alberta through Montana, South Dakota, Nebraska, and then connects to the existing line and goes down to Texas. Now, this pipeline has a long history. Back at the end of 2015, Barack Obama rejected the Keystone XL pipeline, citing national interest. And then Donald Trump, of course, came in, restarted it, and then in 2020 gave approval for Keystone XL pipeline on U.S. land. And then later on in 2020, there was actually a Supreme Court decision that blocked the development of the pipeline up until 2021, which is where we are now. So this from Common Dreams. Incredibly, the Trudeau government's immediate reaction to U.S. voters rejecting Trump was to press the president-elect to break a direct promise and maintain the worst of the Donald. Soon after Biden was declared winner, Foreign Affairs Minister François-Philippe Champagne told CBC that persuading the incoming president to build the Keystone XL pipeline was at the top of the agenda for Canada. So one of the first things that Justin Trudeau and his government did when Joe Biden won the election was to go to Joe Biden and say, please keep the Keystone XL pipeline. Thankfully, Biden did not listen. CBC reporting here, Biden to cancel Keystone XL pipeline permit on first day in office, sources confirm. This from Common Dreams. CBC News reported Sunday that the words rescind Keystone XL pipeline permit appear on a list of executive actions supposedly scheduled for day one of Biden's presidency, which begins with his swearing in on Wednesday. The withdrawal of the Keystone XL permit is among several environment-related actions Biden plans to take via executive order during his first day in office, a list that includes rejoining the Paris Climate Accord. So already here, even though, as I've said a million times, Joe Biden does not go far enough in terms of his positions, when it comes to climate, there is a clear difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And you could even say a clear difference between Joe Biden and Justin Trudeau. Now, some reactions here. So this is Ruth H. Hopkins, who is a writer and an Indigenous defender, tweeting out here, I'm crying. We've been fighting this pipeline for nearly 10 years. I know the danger. The first Keystone pipeline spilled 500,000 gallons next to my res. Now Biden is planning to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline permit on his first day. This from Bernie Sanders. The Keystone pipeline is and always has been a disaster. I'm delighted that Joe Biden will cancel the Keystone permit on his first day in office. With all of the major crises facing America, we must never lose sight of the most existential threat facing our planet, climate change. And now, listen to the response from the developers on Keystone XL, TC Energy. Here's what they're now trying to do. TC Energy said in a release late Sunday that the company plans to spend $1.7 billion US on a solar, wind, and battery-powered operating system for the pipeline, hire a union-only workforce, sign Indigenous equity partners, and establish zero emissions operations by 2030, all with an eye towards securing Biden's approval. It's amazing to me that when backed into a corner, these corporations finally offer what should be the bare minimum: sustainable operations, a unionized workplace, the recognition of Indigenous partners. I mean, the fact that they had to get to this point, had to be pushed against a wall with the threat of cancellation to finally offer the bare minimum, no. Too late. Pipeline dead. Now, reaction here from Jason Kenney, the conservative premier of Alberta, who clearly is not happy about this. He tweeted out, I am deeply concerned by reports that the incoming administration of President-elect Joe Biden may repeal the presidential permit for the Keystone XL border crossing next week. My full statement. Now, Jason Kenney, in addition to his horrible failure during COVID-19, has been somebody who has just gone all in when it comes to oil. In fact, this is a great response I saw to this. Kenney chose this very obviously unbuildable project over 11,000 healthcare jobs over safe schools in a pandemic, over proper paid sick leave, over Alberta healthcare for all for migrant workers, over a just transition for oil workers whose jobs aren't coming back. So here's a man who took a bet on the wrong horse. And this is what conservatives consistently have been trying to do. Basically hold on to the past and be afraid of embracing the future. And really, it comes down to where their interests lie, who butters their bread. So when it comes to conservatives in Alberta, I mean, it's completely the oil industry. So of course he's going to try and defend the oil industry, and really it's about the oil titans. It's not about the average worker, because there are ways to take care of oil workers. As I discussed in my video 2 months ago, you can go back and watch that. I'll link to it below the video and above the video. But there are ways to take care of blue collar oil workers who are understandably going to worry about the future of their careers in a dying industry. So Bernie Sanders, when he was running for president, had a plan that every single blue-collar oil worker would have full pay for 5 years and job retraining and full health care. So that should be the bare minimum when really discussing any industry that we have to phase out. You have to center the interests of the workers, because this ultimately is the biggest. This is the main reason for the rejection from the average person against the move towards renewable energy, is the worry that they're going to lose their job. Well, if you take care of those people, ensure that they are getting full pay, ensure that they do have retraining for another field that is still within their wheelhouse, hands-on work. There's plenty of hands-on jobs that are available in renewable energies. If you take care of these workers, center their interests, then any argument that conservatives have to keep the oil industry going completely disappears. So this really is a brilliant step. Joe Biden, of course, there could be a lot more done when it comes to climate, a much larger investment into, say, blue-collar oil workers as one example, but investment in general into renewable energies. But this really is step one when it comes to addressing the climate crisis. At the very least, you have to end any sort of oil project that will put an investment into the future when it comes to fossil fuels. The only way to get off fossil fuels is to stop investing in new fossil fuel projects. That's the start of it. So at the very least, Joe Biden has step one down, and let's hope this kind of approach continues.